Hey, the best of 60 plus racing adventures make their way to Spielberg, Austria to see who's going to be able to conquer their GT3s. Today, RaceSpot has coverage of 60 plus racing adventures from iRacing's virtual Red Bull Ring here in Austria. My name's Justin Prince, lots of in the booth for tonight's coverage. Renzo Ponder, also as our producer today, Ramiro Cisneros. Today, it's our look into the GT side of the card when it comes to this series, Lorenzo. 60 plus racing adventures races a lot of different cars. And this is the one broadcasted race for this series this season. It's the heart of the championship battle. 40 minutes on the clock at the Red Bull Ring. It should be fun.
It should be really fun. Draft is going to play its part over here. A little bit of dirty air, dive bombs, every kind of drama that you want to have, especially at the final three corners. It should provide us an enticing race from start to finish.
As we continue on with the coverage here today, it's important to mention we are in the midst of the championship battle. They've raced across the iRacing platform. But it's Roberto De Filipis who is the leader in the point standings coming into today after back-to-back 40-plus point rounds. Franz Josef Strum is keeping things close at 243 on the season, tied with David Riley. Franco Scurry, Eugene Clark amongst your top five. A lot of the drivers you see race across 60-plus adventures, and if you look back to the history, including the open wheel side, Lorenzo race a lot in all of 60-plus racing adventures series, but as to be expected, some cars prefer other drivers, or in turn, drivers mesh better with certain cars compared to others.
Yeah, that's a natural thing for drivers. You really want to be, at the very top of your game, every single car that you go on. But like myself, I'm more of an open wheeler driver than a GT driver. But that doesn't mean I would be racing GTs. It's more like just on your preference to see which car you would come out best than other cars.
Now, one driver who's missed several ranks this season is a longtime veteran when it comes to 60-plus racing adventures, and Wagner Wisloff. He's at the top of the board by about 2/10 in qualifying. It's about a minute to work with. A few other drivers are finishing up their qualifying sessions, including Bruce Poole here, the Canadian, looking to move up for 19th currently on the timing sheets. Just two drivers not yet to set times today. 3 seconds the difference, top of the board to the bottom of the board for today's festivities. One of those who's at the bottom of the board, though, Franz Josef Stum, did not get out of the 134s, Lorenzo. That is potentially huge for the championship if the 34 can't make it their way up that pylon.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a problematic issue. Climbing all the way up in this race might prove a little bit problematic. But then again, it's Red Bull sometimes because it is so clustered with cars, especially at the very first 3 laps where you really want to move up the grid quickly. Can improve the life a little bit better for some if you just plays a safe game and all. But the one that we should be talking about is Riley, David Riley in 4th place. He's fighting for the championship spots, and he sits in 4th. So far, he's in the best spot in the championship contenders.
It's been interesting to watch amongst the years and over the years how 60-plus racing adventures has gone. Well, today we're about to see how the GT3s race along in the midst of one of their multiple different series. In most recent years, they've also expanded to dirt. Today, drivers will try and keep themselves out of the dirt in their road cars. Let's see how they qualify today. Ragnar Wisloff starts on the pole by 2/10 over Ejo Pasquala. Then it's Kenneth Dummer starting along in the 3rd position alongside David Riley. Franco Scurry rounds out the top 5. Those drivers all within a second of the pole time, with Bill Smitham in 6th spot. Mike Randy starts off at 7 today in the Rain-X machine. No chances of rain today to use the Rain-X, though. Jerry Kerr, one of the organizers of 60-plus racing adventures, in 8th. Craig Fott starts 9th. Roberto De Filipis, the point leader, rounds out the top 10. Also amongst those in the heart of the field, Douglas Beasley and Gianni Rapaldo. Russ Addy, we've seen him have some good speed, especially in open wheel competition. He's 13th today, though. Bruce Pruill will start alongside. Ricardo Avata, along with Gilbo, J.C. Hay, and Hallstrom amongst your top 18. Rest of the drivers continue to go through here. In total today, we're looking at more than 24 starters, 26 total. Stum starting in 24th. It's going to be potentially costly for the title fight. Your keys to victory, Lorenzo, as 40 minutes is on the clock and expecting pit stops.
So, field numbers might be the game over here as well into the draft. Breaking away over here and clean air, especially if you're at the front, is going to be key for you to survive the long run.
See how things go here today for today's festivities here on RaceSpot. We're quite happy with this for today. 40 minutes up on the clock for these GTs, and already whistle off well and away. We're underway from Spielberg. Good launch for your pole sitter to get clear by a country mile nearly. Already single file, in fact, for your entire top five. One of the calmest starts you'll see at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, but let's calm down a little bit. There could be confusion at the back, but so far everybody decided to, not risk it in the first few corners, which is the good thing, the good approach, the safe approach, and that's what we want to see. Safe approach the first few corners, then door-to-door on the next few corners.
This type of a race, remember, you have to consider two things. A part of the rule packet for Season 30, all races will have pit stops. That's something to think about. It is a mandatory thing for the field. High downforce is the fixed setup, though. Remember, iRacing has balanced and as well fixed downforce sets. So we're talking about a lot of grip for the corners, not a lot of high-speed sections for the straightaways with the downforce set, in theory.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct. You're going to be safe going around the corners without, be worrying about way too much in terms of, as we see Gary Gillabo having a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that was some contact from behind. I was about to say at that exact same point you were making, that was the viewpoint we've seen in the spin. You can't avoid contact, but you can't avoid potentially low grip scenarios. Remember, the low downforce, great on straights, but it's going to be very, very tricky in the corners, so hence the high downforce. Already whistle up by over a second. He's nearly broken the draft already.
Yeah, quite impressive at the start for Whisloff to actually do that already. As we go into Remigio de Pasqua, try to get closer to Zoomer, but the thing is, like you just said, having that aero downforce set to high is going to have the drag maximally affected, and you're not going to get close unless you're really, really stuck behind the other car for you to make the overtake, as more contact as Grandy is involved.
And that's right in the heart of the field. Jerry Kerr having to drive around that one. Roberto De Filipis had to take a corner cut. And already a lot of body parts coming off of Rosati's car and several more. A big stack up in one of the sections. You do not want to have that happen. That's that run up to Remus. That's one of your main passing zones today.
Yeah, a little bit of sounded like clumsiness coming around the corner. We should look on the replay appropriately to see if that was the case involving Grandy right there. But apparently some more action around the track as the leader goes into P12.
Let's take a look at what may have happened here. First, here's JC Hay. Oh, hey, he's the wrong way around. He was starting towards the back regardless, but it's not the way he wants to go in the middle sector. It's Mike Grandy, though, who gets a lot of help, and then it's a checkup effect. Stack up once, then how'd they get to the inside? Oh. I don't know what to say.
Domino effect. Nothing much you can expect there. And I don't even blame Russ right there, and apparently of an overtaking attempt just at the back of the field. As interestingly enough, some pit stops already happening, but I don't think those are programmed pit stops as we look into the track conditions. Quite a bit hot track, 47 degrees on the track, Justin, and 2:32 p.m. Normally you're going to see that track dip down in temperature as time goes on by, but regardless, 47 degrees on a mid-spring Austria is quite hot.
It is iRacing Day, mind you, on that point, May 15th, 2024. Each year that's set for iRacing Day. Well, people get older. We'll just say that. I know that's common sense, but for Di Pasquale and company, they're working around 116 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of that. So that high downforce set is going to be very much helpful, to say the least, when it comes to that, because it's going to be a little bit more grip, where if it was the low downforce of the balance from iRacing on the fixed side for that side, we might have already seen a bunch more spins.
I agree, 100%. I think you probably, maybe not at the very start, because the cars will keep themselves a little bit more planned. As someone who's having a slowdown, I think that is Beasley having a slowdown. The final corners, more issues in turn number 1 involving the Pasqua.
And that is not great there. That was a front running car for a moment. Now outside the top spots. Still can see what happened in turn. Yeah, a little bit of air, but still trying to almost clear himself, it looked like, with that squeeze out.
Yeah, just did not give enough room for scurry, I think, coming out of the corner. Unfortunately, the Italian just got spun around. You got to leave the space all the time. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But coming back to my point, I think low downforce probably would have made the car a little bit more loose on the first few laps, so probably drivers would take it a little bit more safely to try to do overtakes and things like that. But as the track went on, and you're eventually going to see maybe, since this track is heavily towards the right-hand corners, maybe the front lefts and the lefts are going to take a little bit more of a beating. You're not going to be able to have more car stability, especially coming into the final 2 corners like here.
You can already see some of the balance from Kerr in particular, trying to battle with the Philbus. Philbus coming off last time out, a 6 points finish and no incident points. That is a bonus point to have 0 incidents for these types of races, remember. So you have to be able to keep it clean if you want to score the points. There is a lot of conversation on the radio. I believe there's been some trouble for Alika in the 088 machine because Poole spun around in the dead spot. Everybody else is keeping it clean with the separation.
That's let's see if there's any replay of that. I really want to take a look at that, but so far,
yep,
so good.
So far, so good. But here's the thing: when looking at the totals for the car, remember they can make it technically in the fuel. So when do you elect to take a stop when there's a mandatory stop involved, like it states in the rulebook?
Ooh, good question. In my opinion, for Red Bull Ring, if you're at the front, unless you are heavily involved into battles and you don't want to lose a lot of time in the process, and you maybe want to try an undercut, my suggestion is go as late as you can on the pit stop.
For reference, if you go to the downforce levels 2 for the sprint set, in theory, which would be utilized, that's a 14-gallon total that's in the required fuel tank. So there's a lot to consider on that mark compared to the endurance tank, which can hold a lot more too on balance. I'm not sure how much of a mathematician you are in terms of fuel rates, but 14 gallons is still a bit tight. But it is still a calculation that might cause variance in theory to 10 minutes to go, if in theory.
Yep. Well, that's pretty much as I think Malls be pitting right now, but I don't know if that was issue related or if that was just programmed pit stop and trying that undercut we just mentioned.
Well, looking at Kerr, we've already talked about how with this car setup, not expecting as many slingshot passes. What do you do if you're in the midst of this train? Because right now, these drivers are carrying down the straightaway, give or take, about 100+ miles an hour.
Maybe if you try to go for fuel saving, lift and coast a little bit. If you are close, let's just say like 0.5 of a second, up to 0.6 a max, because the cars are high downforce, and you know the pull effect is not going to be as effective like as you would be riding the low downforce, which is something that I was talking about. I think fuel efficiency might be the game plan over here as we look at what happened to Beasley just going around corner number 4.
Douglas Beasley amongst those again in towards the wall, but still in the race. Remember, when it comes to this series, no limit on fast repairs. JC Hay, my goodness, he is not having the funnest of times. He nearly visits the tire barrier with some cookies.
Taking the Lando Norris line.
Well, as these drivers come up to about a quarter of the way through, looking back towards that front train, there's a lot of distance starting to build up amongst the field with some of the mistakes. Your leader, Wisloff, up by 6 seconds. Your biggest train is 15, 16 seconds behind your leader. DeFilippis, though, still running good in terms of the point calculations. In fact, his championship rival, you know where the 34 is? He's in 10th already in the next pack.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to look at the laps right here. Apparently, the only driver on the 31 is actually Wisloff, as Doom is basically 2 seconds lower on the lap.
Well, it is Wisloff. What else can he say? He's been a dominant force we've seen for about 2, 3, 4 years, give or take. For as long as we've seen 60-plus racing adventures on the network, even if you go back to some of the performances in the official series in open wheel competition. So experience pays dividends. And remember, for a lot of drivers, experience is something we've seen come into play big time. Remember, this is a series for anybody 60 years or over to be able to race and have fun in a variety of different cars with those in the same age bracket. And we've seen that build up a lot of friendships. In fact, a lot of drivers coming out to help newcomers for the upcoming races. In fact, in the past week or so especially.
Which is the cool thing, you know, have a sense of camaraderie and camaraderie and unity. As now you're gonna see Clark maybe go down on the outside defending against Levon making the overtake. But coming back to your point is, you know, people collaborating with each other is something that is not usually commonly seen, you know, in the racing scenario nowadays. It's more like, oh, just either grid and go or just do your stuff. As probably Gillibo is going to make the overtake attempt as well. It's not going to wash out. A little bit of a door-to-door. There you go, Justin. But as long as you can create a sense of community and everybody's working towards each other and having fun in the middle of the process, that's for myself a true win.
Looking at that train for 6th place here once more. That window of potentially the split it in half strategy coming up pretty soon here. Most people have not elected to really necessarily go off the strat. It's been more so the damage repair or the limitation, as Respoto lets by Di Pasquale, lets by the fellow Italian in the move. And Di
Pasquale trying to do his best on a recovery run, but not putting the laps that he probably should have been wanting to put. He's faster than Kerr and the Felipe's, so there's a possibility P7 can actually be in the books for Di Pasqua. But in the meanwhile, we're going to continue with this fight between Respada and Vault, which another interesting topic. It's a sea of Ferraris today.
Yeah, what can you say? It's one of the newest cars in the block, right? Everyone seems to like the Ferrari, and it's the thing I've noticed is not just in terms of special effects. The BOP on it has been extremely strong in several major leagues and special events since its new version of the Ferrari debuted in the past year on the platform, or the past 6 months, should say.
Yeah, it's a car that possesses a lot of frontline speed and acceleration and some balance around the corners. That does waste a little bit of rubber. It tends to be sometimes unstable at some corners, especially I think mid to high speed because of you know, the fact that this car is mid rear engine. But other than that, it's just a car that when it came in like as its prancing horses. Now the Respato is going to make the Pasqua makes the overtakes rather on Kerr. But looking forward to see how the next few seasons are going to go on with the Ferrari, with new GT3s coming into the service.
Yeah, that should be fun, especially the next year. There's been a lot of chatter, to say the least, on social media on potential new builds on the oval side. That's because of Dale Jr. That's not a conversation for here. But let's just say it opens up avenues. We'll say this today, though. Speaking of new avenues, Renzo, we touched upon it towards the top, that the series is looking towards the expansion of dirt. The past couple seasons, they've been working on something called Four Stooges Dirt Series. Four Stooges is a team/production company that helps out of the back end for 60 Plus Racing Adventures. They started off by starting micro sprints and dirt legend races in the past few months. They've also started a new challenge season where they combine all the different cars they race in, but also some of the legacy cars, and try to expand that presence to what drivers have. They also are all trying to build up that momentum on the short track side and their oval scene, hence why we've seen the oval series just in the past month make its race spot debut on the broadcast airs.
Oh, that's kind of a good thing. That's a good iteration, not gonna lie.
It's a
collaboration.
It's a multifaceted series. And it's, I think, one thing that's being emphasized this year, especially with the expansion of what we're seeing, not just the F3 car broadcast, is they want people to realize it's a community for everyone, 60 plus.
Yeah, absolutely. More collaborations, the merrier. It's interesting to see how the race has, the 60 plus has taken over the years, right? We've always been more like seeing 60 plus races at open wheelers. Right, I think the last time we commentated the 60 plus was basically purely open wheel, so branching out to other stuff. It's good to see that happen, and the drivers embracing the new challenges, the new adventures, just like the series would say, rather.
Take a look at the battle for second. This has been slowly closing up a bit. Franco Scurry only scored away for much of the field. That gap is gone. In fact, this past lap, Ken Thummer has closed up within about near half a second. His Ferrari's found a lot of pace compared to the Porsche.
Yeah, not only that, I don't know if you're looking at your time screen, if your time screen confirms like mine. Scurry didn't clock a valid lap last time by, so I suspect he probably had a slowdown that could have aided Doomer coming in, and
that's a hard cut into the pit lane. Franco Scurry goes for an aggressive undercut call to take his mandatory stop. He was a little bit below the speed limit at the cone. Remember, when it comes to the World Championship affiliated races for the open wheel side, they did up the speed limit a couple years ago to 50 miles an hour. Some still trying to get acquainted to the 40 as he's up for the fuel stop to close out the race.
Yeah, all these F1 licensed tracks of sorts, or run F1 races in its calendar basically are going to 80 kph to or 50 miles per hour, which for all intents and purposes, if you have a drive-through penalty here at Red Bull Ring, for me it's kind of interesting because it is one of the shortest pit lane runs. And it's one of the, actually you can cut a little bit of time if you go from one point to the other, unlimited. If you violate the pit limit, that it has, just because turn number one, you basically completely cuts the corner despite being a little bit slower.
Continue to see the driver circulate around. By the way, DePhilip is still holding on to now 4th position on the racetrack, net top 5. That's exactly where he needs to be for his championship point gatherings, especially since Franz Josef Stum has lost a lot of ground as of late in the second group, to the point where he went from near 5 seconds back of the blue machine all the way to 12 seconds back with some of the mistakes as of late. Things are looking great for a bigger cushion for the 52, at least in theory, based on the count here. More troubles, pit entry. A slide up nearly to the guardrail this time. And that was Jerry Kerr, who was involved in damage earlier, who hits the wall for more of it.
Oof. Got stuck a little bit with the gears coming back into the track as he finally makes it to the pit lane. Car looks to be broken for Kerr, but fortunately the fast repairs are going to help the 199 as once he does his service, he's going to be able to come back in and be able to race. But basically, the damage is done. One thing we should be taking a quick look in a little bit as well is be looking to the Philippes and the Pasqua. Is Stump and Block are close to each other, and Stump lost a lot of ground, just like you said, and brought Block into the process to get engaged in the fight.
The window is open halfway this time around for the clock and for the race. Expecting with the current pace to go 26 laps, maybe 25. See how that ends up by the end of this one. Wisłop holding on to a 12-second lead over Genethammer currently. Who jumps in is the question this time. No one towards the front. Now, for those wondering why not get it over with now, the shorter the fuel time in the box, the shorter the stop in general, Lorenzo. Time is position. Fuel is time.
And time is money, basically.
Yes. Well, I was going to say it, but I see you thought about it and said it.
Yeah, we are in sync. Great minds think alike.
But I will say this again when it comes to Wisłop, who's on the part-time schedule up front. He has just been blistering quick today. You can tell when someone's got a rhythm. It seems to be his case today. Franz Josef Stump currently running in the 8th position now. He has picked up a couple more spots with those starting to make more mistakes around him. Eric Block was the last person he zipped on by. By the way, that's a Ford. Yes, Eric Block has gone the route of the, well, very retro Ford route.
He has the best car in the field, I'll tell you that. And he's also packing a really interesting livery of all sorts. Packing the Stewart 1999 livery of sorts. Yes, I approve
exactly.
that.
That is the paint scheme from Sir Jackie Stewart's team from Open Wheel Racing from years ago. Di Pasquale makes the move right before the stop. He's up to 4th and already hard on the save, trying to lift off as the Philbus falls back. This is also allowing Jerry Kerr to get some slipstream as one of the drivers already taking service.
Yeah, absolutely. Last few laps have been insane for the Pasco. You can even see last lap was the Pasco faster by nearly 7/10 of a second. After the spin that he had earlier on, I think he's just been on a tear on this race. Probably the fastest driver besides Ragnar Wisłop in the track as pure pace. So I wouldn't be lying if I say that there is a chance. It's a very big one. It's not the biggest. Sorry, it's not the biggest one. It's kind of a slim, but he would have to, I think, come to the fact of how efficient the Pasco is in the pit lane, that he might actually get 3rd place back on Riley.
See if that comes into play here in the next little bit. 4 seconds the difference between Dummer and Riley on track for reference as well. Just looking across the rest of the field here as we get ready for a big flurry of stops. So we already had one driver, Gene Moore, already called for a stop and complete pit service. That driver's running mid-pack. Also, what happened mid-pack? Well, here is Levant. He's one of the BMWs, that yellow and red machine. Looks a little bit deeper on the send, and first one to get a full loop around.
Yeah, car going down here gets a little bit light. All the way it's going to be shifted towards the front as we're going to see Eric Block coming into the pit lane. First guy inside the top 10 that actually blinks and goes for a different strategy than everybody else.
So another undercut call before the full flurry expected for this field here today. Di Pasquale still is seen on screen. Still using lap cars as ways to leapfrog. You mentioned the potential, I believe, to get to Riley. That potential's coming up pretty quick. They've closed up 5 seconds down to 3.
Yeah, the last lap was basically a full second quicker, which is impressive to see. The Pasqua, re-emerging into the track, and Riley's going to find himself in a world of trouble in that Audi R8, the GT3 Evo. in just a short bit.
Riley right now in one of the Audis, trying to maintain the clean space in the Champion Racing paint. That is another one of those throwback schemes, by the way, because, well, how do you know? Well, Speed Vision, correct me if I'm wrong, at least in the North American regions, has not been around since 2003. Europe is a different story. Here's your race later, though. The Team Vikings Nordic Sim Racing Team machine outright dominant today. 16 seconds before the traffic.
Oof.
I mean, Ragnar Wisloff doing Ragnar Wisloff things. He is your leader, by the way, in open wheel championship competition in the series. Ed has won several championships over the process of his career, including seasons 24 and 25. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also nearly leads as well the championship in the Super Senior in the F3s, which is insane.
Which was what I was referring to, in fact. He's been that quick. Now, you mentioned the fallback for Riley. He's now within drafting range, is Di Pasquale. Pasquale has a chance to be able to slice through. Do they elect to take the pit stop now, or do they elect to keep the fight on the track and then think about the stop in the next 3-4 minutes?
If I'm Riley, I should be thinking about pit stops over here, because you're soon going to find yourself immersed in the battle, and you really want to be over defending the car and putting more stress into the Audi. The Audi actually sometimes under braking, especially with the brake bias, that can easily offset the car, and its behavior can get a little bit oversteery and snappy, especially coming into the corner entry. So you really don't want to be finding yourself in that position. You want to overcommit into a corner and find yourself under major trouble. But obviously, the Pasquale got the pace, got nearly the best lap off the race. The previous one, not this one, the previous one, with the 31.3. Now the door is open.
Oh, here we go. Di Pasquale shows the nose. Riley gives space. Oh, Di Pasquale nearly ripped away the space. Riley forced the lift off the gas for the contact, but about 90% clean. Di Pasquale up to the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could even see that P2 actually be on the horizon for the number 4. Doomer is not that fast. Last lap he was 7/10 faster than Doomer, so we got 12 minutes and 40, give or take. We have about like 10 more laps in this race. There's a chance.
Now remember, getting the right pit stop time is going to be critical. Fuel only, expect to be the call for the winners. It's worth noting Franco Scurry may have just burned his podium chance up, Lorenzo. When he took service 6 laps ago, I just got the confirmation, full service for the 14 car. He is battling in the teens because of that call.
Maybe a potential mistake, with the configurations, left probably the tires and the fuel on, and that's why he got like 50 seconds in the lane. But yeah, sometimes those mistakes happen. There's now the Philippi's on the charge.
Pit stop for Craig Vaughn as well this time. There's the look to the right side for the block. Riley tries to play defense. Left side for De Philipis in his cockpit. Forced to go the long way for the diamond. And a huge brake check in the apex of the corner.
Yeah, checked up the blue Ferrari. Had to check up a little bit. Not the blue Ferrari that we were going to see in the Miami Grand Prix. But now the door is going to be open on the inside. Maybe for the Philippines to try to do an overtake. But no. Decided to take the normal line rather. And just ride the back bumper off David Riley one more time.
Florida pit stops as well, expected as Levanis Monsters, who also ducked in the previous time. Keep an eye on your pylon pretty soon. De Philipis has to be able to think, is it time to go? 10 minutes to go this time around on the racetrack. The blue Ferrari goes earlier on the brakes compared to the Audi. Who cuts? Still nobody. They still want to go as far as possible for the strat.
Which just doesn't sound a bad idea. Like I told you, if you're at the front, you need to be in the front, in the track as max as you can. If you can maximize the fuel efficiency in the track and shorten your pit lane, it should work out just fine. Now, Philippe's mega run coming into turn number 1. Surely the overtake is on.
Flipping a little bit of the grass on the way in the DF Racing machine. The Audi a little bit quicker for now, deeper on the brakes. DeFilippis showing the nose, still planted the nose, and pretty clear. David Riley does not want to let him go.
Oh, it's a battle for position, all right. So top 5 positions is always that important. And as we see more drivers coming into the pit lane, Justin, Alida, Raspato, Guillebeau, Clark coming in. I think other drivers have to come into the pit lane. From the current top 10, only I think it goes all the way down to Russ Addy that hasn't done its pit lane for the time being.
Riley just confirmed to the radio, this time by pit lane. DeFilippis with a simple okay on the radio. Does DeFilippis follow him or go for the overcut? They've lost 2 to 3 seconds since starting this battle. Your pit stop delta shown right there. Remember, Poldo's currently the highest of those who have hit so far in the field, and they're both coming. In fact, most of the field is at the limit. They need to come in with 9 minutes to go. Riley, a massive send to the cone, but everyone able to avoid speeding so far. Most of your field is in.
Yeah. Surprisingly, Wislop stays in the track as long as he can.
He did pit.
Okay, he did pit.
That's how big Wislop's lead is. He pit for 9 seconds, the shortest pit stop out of everybody. He gained an extra second with everyone else taking 10 seconds in the bank.
Oh, okay. Okay, I completely missed out on that one then.
I mean, Ragnar's just done another level today. Like, look at those pit deltas. He's got it down to a science on the field. And he's doing this on, I don't even know if it's hard push or not, but it's a rapid pace compared to what we've seen from much of the field today. No offense to them.
Yeah, I just wonder if he has a team radio, what the team would be talking to him right now. Manage the tires, manage the fuel, just bring it home, don't push the car way too much, and bring Norway on another victory.
So where do things stand here? Well, Bill Smitham has moved up to 7th in all this. He started off in the top 6. Haven't talked about him at all, really. He's one of the Lamborghinis in the field today. His pit strategy, well, he hasn't gone in yet. Same for Mike Grandy and Russ Addy. Also not in yet, Wally Malsby and Douglas Beasley. Everybody else has made their mandatory pit stop to close the race.
Yeah. Just taking a quick look over here, I think when Grandy, Smitham, and Addy come into the pit lane, I think Grandy and Smitham might come, around just outside the top 15, give or take?
If it's the scheduled distance, yes. Remember, Grandy was amongst those involved in one of the incidents, so why not try something different? Grandy is able to extend it a lap, we can tell you that. Same for the Lamborghini. Here's a better question. Actually, correct myself, I think they're involved in the damage repair. That should respond to the mandatory pit stop. Is that going to be enough fuel, though, if they have to come in for the repairs 3-4 minutes into the race to make it to the checker? Oh, with a bump and a run. Addy moving Raspato out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know if that was actually making sure that Raspato was moving out of the way, but I think Raspato just scrubbed into the corner and just got a slow entry, and Addy just had a faster entry. Now Addy does the overtake, and Raspato's day just getting worse and worse after the pit stop.
Yeah, he's gone backwards, to say the least. He started 12, went forwards before. This incident happened at the end of the racetrack a few moments ago. Franz Yusuf Stump has been trying to run. He was actually trying to clear a slowdown at the time, and then Bruce Poole just accidentally boops him. and tries to let him go.
At least golden rule of sorts.
Bruce Poole was saying sorry over the radio at the time, and has since then seen him fall an extra 30 seconds off the pylon. About 5 minutes to go. David O'Reilly playing defense as Roberto De Filipis getting a little bit squirrely again.
It's interesting if you look at the timings, right, Justin. Riley's pit stop on the stall 1/10 of a second slower than Philippus, but his total run was 2/10 faster, and that's what I think was enough for him to survive the pit stops ordeals and stay within fourth place. So question is, with 4 minutes to go and half, of course we have like 4 or 5 laps ish. Can the Audi survive the onslaught of the Ferrari?
That's the huge question. We've seen De Filipis is quicker. You already seen the stopwatch differential to show the difference by far. Can they close it out though for a pass? That's the major question. Berto needs another half lap until the next passing opportunity, but 4 minutes to go. Only a couple laps to decide it from this point forward. 4 minutes on the clock, 3 estimated laps to go.
Yeah, let's see how that's gonna happen. Meanwhile, Wislav, 20 seconds faster than everybody else in the field. We might have to ask for coaching for Wislav, or I might have to ask for coaching for Wislav with the way that he's driving today.
He's already had people talk to him on the radio on the speed. Look at speed though for De Filipis. He's got the outside. Can he get the squeeze on O'Reilly? Gives a lot of space and finally gets it done.
Took him basically, what, 10, 12 minutes of this race for him to do the overtake, but, persistence is key.
You have to do it, though. Points are points. It only took a little bit of time, as you said, to get it done. In third to close things out with 3 minutes to go, too. Give a shout out to Di Pasquale on his quick recovery. He's just about back to where he started. Same for Dummer as you projected. He's still in second. There's a look at the Ferrari. Di Pasquale still has a chance maybe to get to him, in fact, if he keeps the pace up or at least finds another gear.
Oof.
I mean, he needs to be able to get another second in this next lap to have a shot on one pass attempt.
Last lap 3/10 slower.
That's not going to do it.
Nope, not at all.
Roberto De Filipis, though, has stabilized. He was still quicker by nearly a second to David O'Reilly last time, now that he is clear. So remember, when it comes to this series, they still have plenty of racing to go on the calendar. A quick shout out to Mount Panorama as the next race for them in this series. Ragnar Wislav, he might be the mountain everyone has to overcome to be able to make the victory lane if he does this again.
That's good to know, and that would be what I think nearly second consecutive appearance that I've seen on Wislav. Of course, with me commentating per se, as the white flag is out, and there's just this showcase of how to drive a GT3 car massively around the Red Bull Ring.
He ran away from the word go today. Team Vikings machine outright dominant from the onset. 23 seconds the gap. No one else around as long as there's no mistakes. He seems in line for the win today. It's just his 5th start of the season, mind you. Couple missed races see him down in the standings. But I think for Ragnar, it's pretty clear cut. With looks to be his third W of the year, he's here to have fun. He's definitely having fun if he's with the win like this.
Oh yeah, 100%. Chill race, no pressure whatsoever. Just driving his laps, minding the time, minding the 40 minutes, and getting another W in the process. That's all you want to know. Interestingly enough, though, that is going to be another different winner at a 60 plus GT3, as John Payne won at Sebring. Now Wislop wins over here, and the championship fight is going to get a little bit mixed up, maybe with Philip is running away.
Coming to the checker flag this time by Ragnar Wislop. Dominates. Wislop sails to victory at Red Bull Ring. 24 plus seconds at the stripe. Kenneth Dummer does hold on to the second spot. He ended up just waiting patiently for opportunities to open it up, and guess what? The call for Franco Scurry instead will see him 14th instead of up here with the yellow and black machine. The 07 in third, just in front of Di Pasquale. But Di Pasquale needed one more lap. Philippus and Riley the top five, Lorenzo.
Yeah, you were saying that De Pasco, I think, needed one more lap. I just saw Doomer just taking the final corner way too tight. So I think that corner made De Pasco close down by half a second, nearly half a second. And that could have been a great fight for the finish in top three. But unfortunately, Barney thought otherwise. Didn't want to give us another lap in. But good race nevertheless. No major incidents or accidents in the track, and good racing provided by everybody in the track.
The rest of the field looking to finish things up pretty quickly here. Just 55 seconds for anybody else yet to finish to take the checker flag. We are currently waiting on the last battle on track. 18th and 19th, Zavon does hold off Bruce Poole to close out your finishers here in Spielberg. Here's your unofficial race results. Ragnar Wislop comes up with a win over Kent Dummer. It's Di Pasquale, Di Philippus, and Riley, your top five. 25.7 seconds, the final interval on track. Dummer lost 2 seconds the final lap. Riley, Grandy, Smitham, along with Addy, Espoto, and Vaught, your top 10 today. Stum, Gilbo, Block recovers to 13th on the call. Franco Scurry took 4 tires along with his fuel. He put himself 14th instead. Hallstrom, Molesby, Beasley, Levon, Poole, and Awata round up the top 20. Laps down include Awata along with Moore, Kerr, Clark, as well as the 44 of Jose Carlos Campanico. JC Hay ends off as your DNF for the race today. A DNS for Philip Peterson. An interesting one here today for these drivers. Your thoughts on the race, Lorenzo, first of all, as we wait to see how these drivers thought this race went.
There was a really good race for me to take a look at. You know, clean, with lots of battles throughout the field. I think the high downforce took it a little bit away in terms of seeing more battles with the drag of the cars and everything, giving them more safety around the corners. But other than that, it's been a very good race, and proving that 60-year-old people can drive and drive very well.
Let's take the words now from Ragnar Wislop, as he's your race winner today by a whopping 25 seconds. Ragnar, first things first, how was it in the car, especially with the fact you were gone by 1.5 seconds by the end of lap 2?
Well, it was. I think it was good fun. I like this track. It's definitely a driver's track. It rewards some practice, and it's the only problem with it, I guess, is littered with off tracks. So it's really hard to get a race through without going off track. So I think I had to. But other than that, I think it went very well. It's such a luxury to be able to run in clear air for most of the race. So I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to pull out a little gap.
As well, we've seen the growth of 60 Plus Racing Adventures with a multitude of different series here. It's the first time I think we've seen RaceSpot with the GT3s, at least in a long time. How do you feel about the community in the terms of the growth they've been adding, especially on top of it, trying to see the expansion to multiple different other genres like dirt racing that's built up, as well as some of the new late models?
I think it's really good. People, if you speak to people in the officials, maybe after the race or something, and you tell them that you're maybe, close to 70 years old, they can't really believe it. But we have good fun. You saw during the race, maybe you listened to the messages. People are very respectful. If something happens, they're quick to say sorry. As you say, we now have, I think it's 6 different series. There's Formula 3, there's Formula 4, there's this GT3 series, there's the NASCAR Ovals. We have a challenge series where there is a different car and a different track every week. And we also have this dirt series. So, even if you have reached your prime, you can still enjoy good racing with respectful other drivers, and I think that's what attracts the big numbers. I think we had how many? 26 cars here today. That's a good turnout.
Yes. A great turnout indeed. It's actually up to 7 now if you include the late model series that's on the schedules. That's apparently also, though, the race prior to this one on the schedule rotation. But that being talked about, speaking of which, you're also having a strong season when it comes to open wheel. In general, what's kind of the focus, like knowing you're one of the championship favorites for the F3 schedule, but also one of those that's done well in the GT3 rotation? Your thoughts on those 2 championships going forward the next few weeks?
No, I think, as always, we're just about a little further than halfway into the season. It's a bit early to talk about who's going to win. I'm not going to win this series, I certainly know that, because Fridays are a bit difficult, and Friday nights especially. So I don't know who's going to win this, but it's important to take just race by race and enjoy the racing and have fun. That's the most important part, and then we add up the numbers at the end, and as Kimi Räikkönen says, the guy with the most points is the guy who wins.
Anyone who want to give a shout out to here today?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to one of your colleagues who's been helping me a little bit with trying to get to grips with driving this kind of car. So thank you, Mr. Chadwick. Your advice has certainly been very, very helpful.
That's in reference, I believe, to Will Chadwick, who has been a driver at the pro level. Congratulations to the win today, Ragnar.
Thank you very much.
Ragnar Wisław putting up a dominant performance here today. As talked about with him, the next time RaceSpot has coverage, believe would be with your open wheel coverage when it comes to their season finale. But your thoughts in general about today, Lorenzo, once more. You heard the thoughts from your winner. How does that add to the context, knowing there's 4 races to go in GT3 and a lot of races total if you add up all of the numbers for 60 plus in the next 4 weeks?
It's really good if you cover yourself with a lot of races in 60 plus, and you try to drive all disciplines, just not only to grab more experience but to have fun. If you're fighting for championships like Ragnar is even better. But it's good to know that the fight for the championship, like I said before, is still open despite Filippi's coming out on top, and in comparison to his competition with now 4 races to go.
Once again, busy season continuing here when it comes to 60 Plus Racing Adventures. To learn more about the series, be sure to go to iRacing's forums today and look towards the private league and host racing tabs to learn about the community, to see what the community says amongst one another, and to see their schedules. But today comes to a close. For my colleague Lorenzo Bonder in the broadcast booth, for producer once again in Ramiro Cisneros, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching 60 Plus Racing Adventures in the GT3s from the Red Bull Ring.